You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello. This is Pastor Shirley Hood coming to you with a brand new episode of Reflections TV. Yes. Do you all know what this month is? This month is Love Month. That's right. Love Month. Love has its way to all of us, and we wanted to be able to express it to everyone that we come in contact with. So that is why we wanted to do this brand new episode of Reflections TV. And I'm so excited. We have fabulous guests. That's right, fabulous guests that is on today. And we are so excited to share with you who we have on this set. Listen, y'all, I have been so flabbergasted of the few episodes that we've been having, but especially for this one, it's going to be grand. And when I tell you it's going to be grand, it's going to be grand. I am so excited for everyone who has been tuning in with Reflections TV for the last 10 years. We've been on air bringing to you great TV program. We want to be able to go into your homes, not just to share the good news, but the good news all around the world. Listen, if you have not been to our Facebook page, please go visit our Facebook page, which is Reflections TV Ministry, where you can post comments, even your suggestions. Listen, we created a chat. So if there's any suggestions you want to bring to the table, please feel free. Let us know what you want. We want to hear from you. We want to create the shows that matters most to you. Why? Because it's all about you. And if you haven't missed any of the shows or have missed some of the shows, you can go onto our YouTube page. That's right. Our YouTube page is Destiny Productions. That's right, Destiny Productions. All you got to do is go there, find one of the latest episodes, including this one to come. And don't forget, y'all, before you watch, like, comment, and subscribe. That's right, because we want to make sure that you are watching the best of Reflections TV. But without any further ado, listen, I'm going to introduce to you my co-host. Listen, she is not only just a co-host, but she is my friend. Not only my friend, but my sister who just keeps me laughing. Listen, y'all, we all need that in our lives, you know? Laughter is good for the soul, and we are so excited to have her here on today. So I'm going to introduce to you my friend, my sister, Diandra Williams. Diandra, thank you for being on today.
Thank you for having me, Shirley. I'm so glad to be here.
Listen, Diandra, you know, we're going to have a great lineup, right?
Of course.
And you and I both have been talking about this show to come, and you have given me some great ideas, you know, about relationships, right? And most of us folks, women, I would say, are single women and living all they know how to be single, but yet go through a lot of struggles within themselves, and how we need to embrace ourselves with the love and support. And I think that's why it was so reassuring to express this with you, because I really felt like women needs to be empowered. And this is a way for us to really get the word out that, you know, they're not alone. They really, truly not alone in this. And so we created this show with everyone in mind, for the singles as well as for the married couples. And I'm so excited because not only that we have just me and Diandra, but we have other great guests. Diandra, tell the viewers, who do we have on today?
So we have Monah and her beautiful husband, John. They're a great couple in the church. They're going to be with us sharing their story and their testimony. We also have a life coach, relationship coach, who's going to give us some tips on dating and how to transition in the dating world and to get the love you desire.
Yes, and so that wonderful coach is Brittnay Green. Let me tell you something. She specializes in family and marriage counseling, and I'm going to tell you something. Let me tell you, she is the bomb. You got to look her up. I tell you, she's like a breath of fresh air. Every time I will go on her social media outlets, her vlogs are amazing. And you just have to just go there and just watch one of them. And I tell you, you will be tremendously blessed. And we're so looking forward to having not only her, but Monah and her husband, John, to come on just to share how they make their marriage thrive. And,
yes.
We all need that. What do you think?
We absolutely need that, especially at a certain age. Navigating the dating world could be tricky because, it might have been some time between the last time you dated and to stepping out into the world. And so hearing these stories and having the coach to coach us through step by step, it should be foolproof.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I think, this is one of those shows that all the girlfriends come over and
yes.
they sit right in front of the TV and they watch this episode and they just say, oh my God, yes, I needed to answer, And sometimes, we just need to be reassured because, we don't really get a lot of advice
yes.
from, others, especially for those who specialize in that capacity that could be a help to us. And I think of us having Brittnay on would shed some light, to our dim world, because sometimes, the way we feel, like we don't know what it must felt like for women to go through what they have gone through in their lives, like why some women decided to be single.
Yes.
Some women
yes.
decide to be single for a reason. Sometimes women decide to be single because, they had a relationship and then it didn't work for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or they have some type of trauma or whatever. We don't know the circumstance around it. Some women just feel the need, they just want to remain single. But then you have the married couple who has been married for so many years, which I'm looking forward to talking with Monah and her husband John, and and just finding out, what keeps their marriage strong. And, so I'm very excited about this. I'm looking forward to, what's to come. Listen, y'all, you want to stay tuned. Stay tuned, y'all. We are going to have husband and wife Monah and John Scott Rhodes next after these messages. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Listen, I'm so excited to be here today with my friend, Sister Diandra, who's co-hosting the show with me. We know that this is Love Month. That's right. February is Love Month. And we are back here right now to introduce to you this special couple. This special couple has been married for a very long time. We're going to get to know them, and how I know them is through the church, me and Diandra. And let me tell you something, they are awesome. Not only they are awesome in ministry, but they are awesome together. And they have such a beautiful family. And we're so excited to sit down with them just to talk about their great relationship. So without any further ado, let us welcome to Reflections TV, Monah and her husband, John Scott Rhodes. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
It's so exciting to have you on this show today. And, when we was preparing this show, I got some, good feedback from Diandra and, thinking like who we can have to come on to, share with us, how they keep their marriage together. And you both have been married for a very, very long time. And it's so amazing to see you both together as one. And we know that this is a God-ordained marriage. You know, God is in this relationship, and when you have God in it, it's all possible, right? Yes. And so let us ask the question, how did you two meet?
Well, you can go first.
So, we met under a blue light special.
Oh.
Do you know what that is?
No, tell
Share
us.
with us.
So we met when I was working at Kmart.
Wow, that's old school.
Oh, very old school. I was working at Kmart, and this young man kept coming in. I knew nothing, don't even know how many times he came in, but I was told that he came in, he told me he came in several times before he first actually got the courage to come up and to speak to me. And it's so funny because this was I believe on a Saturday, and I had 8 people in my line, you know, at Kmart, blue light special. And, you know, my coworker opened up another register. He was the last one in the line. My coworker opened up another register, and everybody moved over to the other register except for him. And so he comes over, and I'm like, oh, well, you would have been the first person. Why didn't you go over? And he began to talk to me. I had on a blue kimono, like Chinese Asian suit and everything. So he came over and he started to talk to me.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how things.
That's so sweet.
You can add your piece.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how it went down. If I can say this, I wasn't looking for love, but I think this is how love works. When you're not looking, that's when it finds you.
Yes.
That's
Wow.
beautiful.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely. And I think what happens is when we're so focused on trying to find that person, we kind of lose ourselves.
Yes.
You know, and we're probably just missing what God is trying to show us.
Yes.
And so, you know, it's amazing how you said that, you know, and just love was just right there, you know, and I love how the connection, you know, came about between you and him. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing.
I love how organic it was. So, you know, you're at work and he's just in the line, and then that's how you know destiny plays a part as well. What is meant to be is meant to be.
You know, he told me it was my smile. I'm like, really? You know? He's like, you know, each time I came in, you were always so very nice to me, and it was just smile that, you know, kept coming, you know, bringing me back. And I'm like, well, thank you, Lord Jesus, right?
Right?
Well, let me ask you this, because I know Diandra has to ask her question, but I wanted to throw this in because you two are biracial couples.
Yes.
And, you know, to this day, there's still a lot of hate when it comes down to that, to this very day. Tell us, how has that experience been like? If you had an experience where you might have got shunned just for being in a relationship, and if you did, how did you fought against that? How did you triumph over that?
I'll start with this one.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, being interracial, there wasn't a lot of that. I mean, that was 37 years ago when we met. So there wasn't a lot of biracial black-white couples.
Yeah.
But the first major instance that I had, feeling the racial portion of it, was when I was in the military. We were moving to North Carolina, and I was looking for an apartment. And I had found an apartment. Everything was good to go. All I had to do was bring Mona to show her the apartment. So we showed up to the apartment, and excited to show her the apartment. Opened up the door, knocked on the door. The landlord opened the door, who I had spoken with, and immediately saw my wife, and he just shut the door in our faces.
And it was like, what did we do wrong, you know? But it's not that we did something wrong.
Yeah.
But we have, even before then, that was a major, serious part of it.
Yeah.
But even before then, we will be in the mall, or we will be walking, or we'll go out to eat, and people were just like,
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
staring at us. And it, at times it bothered me to the point where I was like, what are you staring at, you know? And I'm looking to see what they're staring at. But, you know, God put this together.
Yes. Yes.
God
Yes,
put
he
this
did.
together.
Yes, he
So
did.
yes.
Yes, he did. You know, and love conquers all.
Yes.
You know, and God ordained for you and him to be together. Love has no color at all. And, you know, the scripture said, love is patient, love is kind.
Yes.
You know, and we have to look beyond that, because, you know, if we have these barriers, we will never get anywhere. But it seemingly you both knew, despite what happened to you, and I'm so sorry that it did, you both triumphed over those obstacles, and you made it work. So, but I really had to really pinpoint that out, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of couples, you know, who are in that type of relationship faces a lot of that, especially even to this day. You know, I don't think it will ever end, you know, of what folks go through. But, you know, this is good to know that despite what happens, you know, we still got to overcome it.
Yes.
Despite, and especially if we know that God is all in this.
Yes.
And he's going to make it work when he's all in it.
So how did your faith play a role in your marriage?
So, so I'm the one who, you know, church girl, grew up in church and everything else. And when I met my husband, a month after we met, he actually proposed to me.
Oh my goodness.
A month after we met. And I said to him, I'm like, oh no, you have to meet my pastor. Not my mama. You have to meet my pastor. And so he ended up meeting my mom, and then he came to church and he met my pastor. And that's how it's always been, you know, you have to meet my pastor. Listen, I have a relationship with Jesus Christ, and I'm just meeting you, and you don't. You need to develop that relationship with Jesus Christ, you know. And so that's how it's been ever since when we met, you know. So yeah.
Oh, well, that is so awesome. You know, it's good to hear, you know, some things like that. You know, like I said, when it's meant to be.
Yes.
You know, it's meant to be.
It's meant to be,
you know, and so you guys have been married for how long now?
So
It'll be 35 years on this Saturday.
on Sunday.
On
Sunday, the 18th, February 18th.
Years.
35
Wow,
years, yeah.
congratulations to the both
We
of you.
celebrated 37 Valentines as of yesterday. Yes.
That's beautiful.
Oh, that is awesome. Tell us, what keeps your marriage strong? What is the sauce? What's the flavor? Tell us, you know, what keeps your marriage ticking?
I think just always trying to do something new, or even if it's old, do it in a new way. After 35 years, going out to dinner, flowers. I mean, 37 Valentines. So it's, you know, we've done it for a long time, but it's still, you have to make the effort.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, that's what I say. You have to make the effort.
And you need to know your spouse. You really need to know your spouse.
Good point.
What he likes, what he doesn't like, what she likes, what she doesn't like. You need to know what turns them on, what turns them off, things that you say and all like that, little things that you do. You need to know your spouse. And you also, we already know that Christ is already in the center of the marriage,
that's right.
right?
That's right.
You can always have Christ in the center of the marriage, but yet and still there be issues
That's right.
and all that. But know your spouse, and there's this thing called communication. You know, you have to be able to communicate one to another. It's not going to be perfect every day, every second, every hour, but learn to communicate with each other and learn to know that person that you lay next to every night, you know. Definitely.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome.
That is a beautiful testament. I love how everything kind of just flowed together. He said he wasn't looking for love, but a month later, he's like, this is it. It's happening. And so that's a beautiful testament of being intentional as well, and being open to the will of God. And for you to see that, okay, Lord, this is it. He's going to meet the pastor now. So we have to make it happen.
Yes.
That's beautiful. What advice would you give a groom to be? What would you say to a groom to be?
Well, good question. You have to be an open book. You can't hold anything back. You have to put, I think, your partner first.
Yeah.
At the same point, you have to be able to, you need to give each other space, like she needs her space, I need my space.
Yeah.
But as a man, fulfilling the role of a man, like in how the Bible is, you know, I have to cleave to my wife.
Yes.
So my advice would be, you may lose a friend, your family may not understand, but if this is going to be biblical, then you have to put everything else aside and you have to cleave to your wife.
So I'm glad you said that, because your daughter just got married to Keisha. It was a beautiful wedding, absolutely beautiful. And the words that you spoke at your daughter's reception, it was beautiful. And it sounds like, and you can tell us, that might have been the conversation you might have had with your son-in-law. And even if you did, what was that experience like?
Well, I just, I think I asked him if he was ready. I think he had just gotten over a long-term relationship. So I asked him if he was really ready for this next step. And again, with the family that he was going to be coming into, if he was okay with that. And the main thing is that I told him that, we support you 100%. So.
That's wonderful. And it's so good to hear that, especially for young newlyweds, who are taking a dive into something new. They're walking into a matrimony that they gotta, even though they know each other, but they gotta know each other in that marriage. And so they really need that support, because they said the first couple of years are rocky, because that's when you are really getting to know each other and finding out, like you said, dislikes and likes and all that good stuff. But it's very important that communication is one of the things, which leads me to my last question is, when you face those challenging times, conflicts do occur, and it happens, especially disagreements. How do you both, as you go through your vulnerabilities, how do you both make that work? What common ground do you guys meet?
So
Go ahead.
I remember there was times where we were in, we were out, we were out, we were in, and and one time I just had to say, I am not your enemy. I am not your enemy. We are in this together. I am your partner, and all like that. And when I said that to him, I am not your enemy, it's like everything stopped, and then we start to listen to each other and see each other for who God has given unto us, And so we have to realize that our spouse is not our enemy, although we do take things out on our spouse because they are the closest to us, and so we have to know that they are not our enemy. And then when we mistreat them or so, you always come back and you apologize. I am so sorry. You have to realize you're wrong. Realize you're wrong and own up to it. And own up to it and come back. And all like that. And I think that's what also makes a marriage to what it is and what it should be, because I am not right, and I am not perfect, and neither is he.
Yes.
And so we always have to realize, listen, honey, I'm sorry. I know I did something, whatever it was. I apologize and all like that. And then I also learned you need to also go to counseling as a married couple. I know it may not be your question or something like that.
No,
but as in the marriage, such as ours, for 30 years, 35 years of being married, you also should go to counseling, regardless if it's, you're fighting, fussing, whatever, or if, lovey-dovey, whatever, still you need to go to counseling and all like that. And it was really good. My husband and I have gone to counseling and all of that over the course of our marriage, because it wasn't always lovey-dovey and everything else, so you need someone to, open up your eyes to see what's been there and what is there and what's going to be there for you.
Yes.
So,
Oh, that is awesome. That's such a big deal. Counseling, it ain't nothing wrong with it.
No.
People think, oh, you're going to counseling because you're crazy. No. Sometimes you need to come together and talk this thing out, because that's what really makes the marriage work, especially if you have like a professional that we're going to have on shortly, just to give us techniques and tips on how, to navigate through those tough times. But y'all, listen. We will be back after these messages with our relationship coach, Brittnay Green. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Listen, these interviews have been so great. Would you agree, Diandra?
They've been on fire.
Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you, interviewing Mona and her husband, John, this is just amazing how this marriage has flourished the way it has. But on today, listen, y'all, this is the best part of the show. We have our relationship coach. She is a licensed family and marriage counselor. Listen, she is doing her thing on social media. You all need to check her out. I just happened to stumble upon her and God showed me favor. And she is here today in studio on my show to talk about relationships. Please let us welcome Brittnay Green. Brittnay, thank you so much for coming on today. You are like a ray of sunshine. I had watched some of your vlogs and it's just amazing to tune in, especially when you're having those moments, like most of us have, and you're so in tune with, just the world, because you kind of know what they are going through. And I'm just so grateful that I'm having a chance to know you. I mean, we instantly connected when I had that conversation with you over the phone. And so it's amazing that you are doing this great work, because you are not only helping, but you are blessing a lot of people. And I'm so delighted to have you on this show today.
Thank you. Your words are just so kind. You just are every woman's hype man.
She is.
You are just a delight. And yes, you had me at yes the moment we spoke on the phone. I just felt the power of what you're doing in your voice, and I wanted to be a part of it. So thank you.
Excellent. So tell us, Brittnay, where are you from?
Originally Houston, Texas.
Wow.
Hey.
The land of Beyonce. Yeah, from Houston, Texas, born and bred, but then I've lived all over the country. Not because my parents were military, but because as soon as I could get out of there, I went to St. Louis, and then I went to Denver, and then I went to LA. So I've been all over.
Wow. So what made you get started in family and marriage counseling? What brought you there?
God is just so interesting. So when I was growing up, I really believed that people did not care what I had to say. So it was very interesting how I ended up in a career where this is literally what I do. I'm talking to people all the time. But I thought I was going to be a physician.
Wow.
And I was going down that track and down that road, and I've always been really good at psychology and always done really well in those, I was in honors and all those things in college. and something just told me I needed to detour. So lo and behold, I happened to accidentally, I don't even remember applying. This is why God is so interesting, you know, so wonderful.
Yes.
I don't even remember applying, but I applied to Pepperdine University in California, and as things started to shut down as far as like me pursuing a track towards medicine, I was like, well, I got into the school and I need to be out there in a month. Parents, should I go? And they're like, do it. I'm like, all right. So yeah, ever since then, it was the easiest profession for me because it's so, I don't know, it's just so ingrained in who I am.
Wow. Yeah. And you know, you always know, it's almost as if God just, sometimes we don't even know or even realize that we have that gift inside of us.
Totally.
Yeah. And I kind of see that in your vlogs, you know, and how you just know how to relate. And that's a gift that I really truly believe he had instilled in you, because I think that when people watch it, they get something out of it. And so that really goes to show that you was meant to do the work that you are meant to do.
You definitely put me through the trials and tribulations to get the knowledge. but it's a part of building that wisdom, so that way I can relate to all people, as many people as I'm meant to. We'll say.
Wow. So tell us, what comes to mind when you create these vlogs?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, conversations I have with clients, personal experiences I'm going through. A lot of the times it's actually me and God having a yelling match outside in the ocean because I'm frustrated, and I'll get this beautiful download and like, oh, this wasn't just for me, this is for them, it's for us.
Yeah.
So I would say a lot of that comes from just divine inspiration.
Wow. Yeah, and I think that's the amazing part, is that you can actually feel. There was one vlog that I seen you was walking on the beach, and I got tapped into that, and I believe I shared that with you, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so great. Like, I need to have a moment where, you know, we get through the hustle and bustle. You know, I am a full-time mom. I have a job, you know, and you know, the job that I currently have, I work 8 hours out of the day. And then out of that 8 hours a day, I come home and I take care of my children, and I'm exhausted. So I need to find time to make time for Shirley. And I don't, sometimes you don't know how to do that. You know, you want to be able to unwind. So what I do is I create moments where I call my friends, I call Diandra, or I have a gathering at my home, you know, so that I can kind of release, you know. And so this is good to know that, you know, you're doing something amazing for women out there.
So sweet.
So amazing.
And it's so important, I think, especially for women who have children, like, to be that example, be that model. I didn't necessarily have that growing up, where my mother made a lot of time for herself. She really was very sacrificial and made everything about her family. So it is so imperative, it's like a huge component of the work that I do, is to teach women that, like, you are teaching your children how to resource for themselves by resourcing for yourself. And you have to put yourself first in some capacity, or else, you know, the ship won't run.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. Let's talk about that little girl. Let's talk about this little girl. Let's talk about the 10-year-old little girl in you. What would you say to that 10-year-old little girl right now?
What would I tell her? The first thing that comes to mind is that, can you believe what we're doing? Can you believe it? Like, oh my gosh. And life is crazy and fast and fun. And, like, you would have never known. Like, and so you don't have to worry as much, or, you know, everything's really going to be okay. And I know that's kind of cliche. A lot of people say things like that. But if I was able to confront her, I think the first thing I would do is give her the biggest, juiciest, loving hug I possibly could, and all the kisses that she could ever dream of. And then just tell her, like, babe, we're doing it. Like,
Yes.
this is, look at who you, because of you, look at who I got to become.
Yes.
That's sweet.
Because it was because of her.
Yes.
Her dreams, her visions.
Wow,
You
that
know?
is so awesome. So do you think that is where Get Out, let me get this right. I think it's called Get It Out LLC. Tell us a little bit about Get Out LLC.
Yeah, so Get It Out is my business baby. her inception was like in 2016 was when I first got the inspiration for it. And my whole platform is about uncovering or unveiling the subconscious beliefs that are holding us back from our true connection to ourselves and to God. And I feel like get it out means like purge that stuff, get all those thoughts out that are not serving you, like you don't need them anymore, so that way you can be fully expressed, because that's what we're called to do.
Yes.
We're called to be co-creators with God. We're called to be like happy and joyful.
Yes.
You know, but when we are burdened with life, or when we are, when we suffer from trauma or betrayal or disappointment over and over again, we start to hold on to those messages as if they are fact and true, and they're not. So get it out is get that out.
And I know that a lot of, women can benefit that, so much, especially if they can just utilize those tools and those strategies to get that stuff out, because we carry so much. I was sharing this with a client of mine at my job, and I said, maybe counseling is one of the things that you need to release what's going on inside of you, so that you can be the best version of yourself. And I think that is so vital, to have such a great concept the way you have.
I think I love the organic title of just get it out, just to really, like you said, to purge and get it out and get back to the core of self. And especially now in this digital fast pace, there's a lot of influencers that are maybe have women confused of what organic self should look like. So I think that get it out leaves women with the idea, I'm in control of this. I get to edit what is important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so beautiful, the way that you reflected that back to me, because it's hard to necessarily see your business the way that it's portrayed by other people, the way that other people maybe understand it. And yes, it's everything that I hope to create, is this authenticity. And I think when people meet me, like the version of me that you get on these blogs or these, is the same person who's sitting in this chair, who's the same person who's at, hanging out with my husband or, with my clients. That authenticity is really important to me, and I'm glad that that's reflected in my business too.
Awesome. All right. Well, listen, we can sit here all day and talk about relationship with Coach Brittnay Green, but listen, we're going to come back. We're going to come back, and we're going to bring the couple back, and we're all going to have a conversation about relationships. And if you needed a question that needed to be answered, it may be in this last segment. So please stay tuned, watch these final messages, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. This is the final segment, yes, where we have our relationship coach, Brittnay Green, and dynamic couple, Monah and John Rhodes. Listen, this conversation has just been awesome alongside my friend Diandra, my co-host. Listening to you all, it's amazing, because especially, I can look at this differently as a single woman, and how I need to take, inventory of myself as a individual who is looking for love. However, when it comes down to that, I really, really feel that when you allow God to be first place in your life, He starts orchestrating not just things, but people into your path. And I really do feel like I'm developing in this new year of 2024 new relationships, and I'm so excited about what is to come. So, let us talk about, just relationships in general. What would you say to, Brittnay, what would you say to a single woman who is just going through that struggle? You know, they're trying to find love. They're trying to, you know, look for it in all the wrong places. You know, most women do that. You know, what do you say to that woman, you know, to encourage her and to wait and to not only discover who she is, but to wait and believing that her soulmate is on its way?
Yeah. Well, to piggyback off of what you had mentioned earlier, this idea of like, it happens when you least expect it. And I remember hearing that when I was single, and I just, oh my gosh, I could not stand that phrase. But it's so real. And the reason is because there's no resistance. So whenever you are, I've got to have it, and you're that needing energy of looking for love, and I need to be in love, and it's going to be the thing that completes me, you're putting out this very anxious energy into the dating world, and it's not actually being received the way that you really see yourself, or it's attracting to you, because like attracts like, the wrong type of person. So what I would say to a woman who is single, who is enjoying her life and wanting to be in love and wanting to be in partnership, is to just do that. Be your best friend, be a partner to yourself first. And have fun, be playful. When we're looking for love, oh my gosh, we get so, I don't know, just like bogged down with the idea that like this is the thing that needs to happen next, or we need to reach some sort of milestone. And it creates a lot of pressure and a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression and sadness and disappointment. So if you can kind of just take it off the table and allow yourself to date and have fun, knowing that the right person will find you because you're under God. And you can have fun in the process. Like, it doesn't have to be this whole ordeal. The women who come to see me when they start dating, they're always just like, okay, so I went on this one date and I just like, I love him and I just want to be with him forever now. I'm like, bah, 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 bah. Dating is meant to be a courtship. It's meant to be a process. And if you can just slow yourself down in that and date yourself first.
What do you think that women go wrong when they date and then they find out that they're hoping, you know, their hopes of being on this one date, or they, like you said, they come in there thinking, oh my God, this is the one, this is the actual one. But then they find out who this person really is. And then they go and try it and they do it again. Like they're dating these frogs, you know, because they haven't really met the prince.
So I would say that they're dating the fantasy. They're not actually dating really to meet partnership, meet a person. They're dating to be married, to fall in love, and that's not the way you're going to meet your soulmate. Your soulmate comes because you're looking for a person and the right person. So when the first exercise I always take my clients through is this inventory of like the type of person that you want, and let this inventory be, you know, we have this idea of like, oh, checklist and whatever. Yes, and this is like inventory not only of physical attributes but also characteristics and qualities and how you want to feel. And so after that though comes the hard truth, which is, how do you measure up to the list? If you're asking for someone who's confident and you're insecure and your anxiety is ruling the roost, then you're not a match. So you need to work on the parts of yourself that are in direct conflict to the list that you're creating. And that's how you're going to find and attract the person that you're looking for.
And I think that it's the mentality, you know, piece, you know, because we have to have a different type of mentality when it comes down to, I'm speaking to myself, you know, I'm just letting it all out, but, you know, because we want what we want, but we want it in a wrong way, if I'm making sense. And so, and I think that we need to really look at ourselves, you know, before we can really look elsewhere, you know, and really just looking at, okay, what am I doing here? And maybe sometimes we need to see someone like you, you know, because sometimes we don't know, you know, because we were so blindsided, you know, and not discovering who we are.
Yeah, you know, I feel like the whole purpose of my platform is not to help you figure out who you are, but to help you remember who you are. You know, and honestly, like, you know, this is why I'm like so connected to you, Shirley, because I was like, oh, you're a hype man, you're a hype man. Oh, I love it. Because it's the same thing that I offer. It's like, I'm not actually giving you anything that you don't already know.
Wow.
And if you would just stop trying so hard, you'd actually see it for yourself.
Yeah.
But you're trying so hard because you don't think that you're worthy or good enough
Yeah.
to get the things that you ask for,
Yeah.
even though under God, he says, ask in my name and you shall receive.
Yes.
We don't really take that line seriously, even though it's mentioned so many times in the Bible.
Yeah.
And if you really would, you'd know that your person is out there for you.
Yeah.
You just have to stop trying so hard to find them and just like kick back and just be like, okay, like he's coming, he's on his way or whatever. And I trust this process and I'm gonna have a lot of fun in the meantime.
Yes. Yeah. You know, John said something earlier. He said that he went into the store. He was not really expecting
I know.
to find
This
his
goddess.
soulmate.
Right?
Yeah, he's clean.
You know, he wasn't really expecting that. However, he saw her and he was like, I'm not getting out this line.
Yeah.
I'm staying right here. But it was like instant gratification. I don't know, John, what was that moment like for you?
Well, like I said, it was an aha moment. Like I knew that, okay, I need to stay in this line and I need to talk to this girl. But we talked about this in the green room, that definitely God had already started working on this because we're both from different countries, born in different countries. We came to Rhode Island about the same time. We were living in the same neighborhood at one point. This is before we met.
Wow, it works out like that.
And then we actually worked in the same jobs, the same grocery chain
Oh, wow.
at one point. So God had already set things in motion. Okay, but we didn't meet there. We didn't meet there, but it happened at Kmart. But definitely God had already planned us meeting.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like that's so real because these stories that I find from my clients who finally find their person, or even just friends who've, even my own, it's like that. When you meet that person, there are these synchronicities and these serendipitous moments that have happened before you even got together, and you're like, wait a second, we were living in the same city, a street apart, or worked at the same place, or we've lived in the same towns. I feel like that happens even with friendships that are your soul-aligned friendships too. You're like, wow, like we've crossed paths so many times, and now we're finally here. This is our time together, you know?
And can I add?
Yeah.
You know, while you're waiting in your waiting season for that soulmate and all like that, I, like you said, discover or rediscover who you are. Discover or rediscover who you are. Don't, you know, become a bum because it hasn't happened as of yet. No offense to anyone, okay? It hasn't happened as of yet. Live your life. Discover who you are. What do you like? You know, instead of you know, staying home and all your friends are out traveling, go traveling. Enjoy. If you have to be that one person in the movie theater with no date, with no guy, be that one person. Don't just stay home. Live life. So when God blesses you with that spouse, you know, Pastor Paul Shepherd out of California, he said, when God blesses you with that spouse, you can, and they say, oh, where would you like to go for the honeymoon? Or where would you like to go for vacation? Well, you know, I just came back from England. I just came back from this country and all. And this, you know, and this is this spot and that spot. Or I just tried out this beautiful restaurant. I think you will really like it. So you already have ideas and everything because you know who you are. You know what you like and all of that. But don't just sit there, you know, Friday night you're at home on the couch, you know, or Saturday night. It's okay to go on the date with yourself. Wow. It's okay.
That's awesome. That is so
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my
awesome.
gosh.
And it's so funny that me and Diandra, just last night, we just had this conversation.
We did.
We just had this conversation. And, you know, I was one of those couch potatoes. You know, I come home, I put my feet up, and I put the remote in my hand, and I'm done watching TV. But, you know, then I said to her, I said, you know, I really feel like I need to be out networking and, you know, getting to know people, creating new relationships, because you never know where your soulmate is going to be, right? And, you know, and then you have the support You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, Diandra has been my ultimate support. But, you know, to hear all this is just so self-reassuring. So you are just confirming everything that we had talked about.
Yes.
Everything we had talked
Amen
about.
to that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
You know, so, you know, what's really, you know, had me thinking was about John and Monah's relationship. And I don't know if this is what you might have experienced, you know, them being a biracial couple, you know, going through those barriers with, you know, because of the color of their skin. And it's so unfortunate that we still live in a society that this is happening. You know, what do you say to a couple that has experienced or even going through the experience?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, because it's part of my reality too, like the conversation really is like, well, how grounded are you guys in each other? And do you feel, especially if I'm speaking to a woman, do you feel like your partner is like protecting you in those moments? Because it can create a lot of unsafety. If your partner, especially the masculine component of your partnership, isn't there to kind of protect you in some way or protect the sanctity of your relationship. So that would be kind of where I would go with that. But it's going to happen. I mean, I'm a biracial girl, so I've been getting this, you know, since hanging out in Houston, Texas. So, you know, it's just, people are going to have their prejudices. They're going to have their perceptions, and it doesn't really matter, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, something I used to say to him when we first started dating and we got married and then we also had our children, I would always say to my husband, hey, it's you and me against the world. You know, it's you and me against the world. And then when we had our children, our 3 children, it's us against the world. Okay, don't let anybody come in to break up what we have, you know. So definitely. And you see a lot of biracial couples who cannot, they love each other, but they cannot handle that fact that, you know, I'm black, he's white, or vice versa, and all like that. They cannot handle people about them and everything else. But if you truly love that person, it's you and them against the world. That's just it.
Absolutely wonderful. My son, he was maybe 6 or 7. He's a biracial child. And he came home from school and he said to me, Mom, one of the kids asked me, when you came to pick me up, is that your mom? And I said to him, what did you say? And he said, yes, and she's the best mom.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and so you put that very well, because my son is like half white. So, you know, we got to instill in our children that despite of what's happening in our world today, they're still valuable. Because love doesn't show that. Love shows oneness. It shows that closeness. And so we need to continue to teach, you know, our children that, even having these conversations, you know, because that's so vital to our society. I'm talking so much. I mean, I'm kind of like enjoying this conversation. I'm really enjoying this conversation. You know, it's really rewarding to hear this, you know, because, you know, I've been divorced since 2013, and I've been really focusing on my children and my life, you know, and I do work in ministry, some of you know, and this is part of it, and I enjoy it. You know, I enjoy the fruit of my labor, you know, but, you know, one day when the opportunity arrives, I would like to meet my significant other, you know, and I know that he's out there. And just making myself more available, more open to the possibilities, and just loving Shirley, you know.
That's it.
Just loving me.
I loved what you said earlier about the dating yourself. I think that's such a huge component in the sense that, like, kind of you get this idea of like preparation, right? So if you're taking yourself out on dates, or if you're going and traveling and trying all these new things, then you build up this preference. And to me, I like to call it fine tuning. And now you're fine tuning what you're actually looking for, and the more clarity that you give God, the more certainty you'll have whenever he shows up.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Definitely.
Good.
I want to add that use a fishing term, catch and release. You need to be okay with letting somebody go.
Absolutely.
Okay, if that's not the person for you, you need to you caught them, but you need to be able to release them like early on in a relationship. Now that didn't happen to us, but I think women especially shouldn't feel like they need to be in a relationship. Like I said, if they're with someone, but that they know that that person is not for them, they need to be okay with releasing that person.
That's the harder part too. I would say that that's the piece that most people come to see me about, is that they're having a hard time letting go of the person that was never meant for them beyond the season that they were in. And that letting go has so many implications, you know, as far as like childhood wounds and trauma and the reasons why, you know, we have a hard time feeling abandoned, or, you know, we just don't want to go through that disappointment again. There's so many reasons. But identifying what those are for you, so that way you can learn how to release in a healthy way early, is so pivotal.
Yes.
And release gracefully. Release gracefully.
Yeah.
Gracefully.
Yes, I like that. I do like that. And releasing gracefully is you know, not really putting the pressure on yourself. Just letting it all go. I think it's one moment at a time, one day at a time. You know, and I think that's, you know, what we all, you know, should be doing and working on. And you know, I'm a piece of work. You know, we all a piece of work. You know, we do what we need to do.
There's a lid for every pot, Shirley. Yes. There is.
Good. Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, they can meet in the Blue Light Special, and if anybody's got a chance, I'm telling you, he will show up anywhere.
Anywhere.
And I love the saying, and it's what led me to my husband, is, God, it gets to be this or something better. And that's what helped me release, like, the relationships that were not aligned for me, you know, early on. This or something better. It always gets to be this or something better.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So let's talk about this. What, Brittnay, what should a person's desired outcome in being true to themselves? What should be the desired outcome for them to be true to themselves?
Can you re-ask that question?
Yeah. What should a person's desires, I don't know if I said this correctly, but I think what I'm trying to say is, like, you know, for them to be true to themselves, like, what should they work on? Like, what should they be working on towards that?
In regards to finding partnership, or just in themselves,
in
period?
general.
Well, you know, I think that I feel like intentions just go a long way, and I think it also depends on, you know, for us, we're people of faith, so your desired outcome should always match God's, you know, word. So, like, you know, I feel like as long as you're kind of like in alignment with that, then you will always, you know, because God's always going to come find you. Like, well, you said you wanted this. Get away from that. Get out of there. You know, and that really happened. So I think as long as you stay aligned with God, you don't have to really worry about much more than that. But just staying hyper vigilant to anything that looks like a mirage, including when you may mirage yourself, and and you know, just focusing on what God's kingdom really is for you, because He wants you to prosper and be fruitful and have all the beautiful things that you desire. I really believe that whatever's placed in your heart is absolutely meant for you, and no one else.
Absolutely, absolutely, and just looking out for the outcome. I mean, it's
so less focus on the outcome, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, Diandra, you had a question about that.
Yeah, so what tips do you have for online dating?
My favorite topic. It is, because it's how I met my husband. We met each other on Tinder, of all places. Yes. And we've been together now for 7.5, almost 8 years. Yeah, so where do you want to start? Like, are we starting from creating the profile? Where are we starting?
Creating the profile, some safety measures
Very good.
in messaging,
Yeah.
and then get into the date.
Okay, so step one, create your profile. So if you are a woman, because I know that you probably have a different variety of audience, right? So if you're a woman, just, don't really create a lot of selfie photos. Make sure you have photos with a friend or two. Showcase yourself being playful, showcase yourself being dolled up. I always think that it's important because men are such visual creatures. Are they?
Yes, they are.
I didn't want to speak for a man, but I'll just, and so just making sure that you showcase how you want to feel and look in a full body photo. So that way there's no confusion when you get to the date, because I feel like one bad date where they look like, they're like, you don't look like your profile or whatever, can totally turn you off from showing up again. And it can be so painful and hurtful. So just be authentic with how you're advertising yourself, right? This is an advertisement of some sort. And be creative in your content and what you write in there. I just choked. God's like, keep going, girl. Excuse me. And then for men, no selfie pictures. So if you're looking for a man, not too many of those mere selfie pictures. Definitely no full body, naked picture, any of that stuff is just such a red flag. I've heard this one thing where men were like, can you guys throw us a bone? Because we don't have friends who are just going to be like, let me pose on this mountaintop and take a picture of you. So there may be one or two, and that's okay, but just being very mindful, because if it's all mere selfies, then to me, what I've noticed as a trend is that they typically fall under the line of narcissistic sort of personality, where they're very image-based. So that can be kind of a red flag in the beginning. As far as, aligning some dates for yourself, I love to, for women, and you can use Bumble as an option because it already kind of does this for you, but drop the hanky. Now, this is a little twist on the old-fashioned, allow him to come to you. But, back in the day, women weren't allowed to tell men, that they were interested. So they would just drop a little hanky next to the one that they liked, and then he'd pick it up. And then if he started a conversation with her, then she was allowed to engage with him. So to me, this gives us, the women, a little bit more power and control as far as doing the choosing. Because typically women get spammed with a lot of just this is not my thing, I do not want this guy, he is not, and so if you can be the one who's a little bit more discerning in the front end, you'll have better conversations and better outcomes. And then when you actually go on the date, my first advice is to go on a coffee date or something like a walk. Something that is easy, it's during the day, there's no alcohol involved, there's no expectation to buy dinner or to be with somebody for longer than 10 minutes. And then if it goes really well, then you guys can set up a second date. And if he's a true gentleman, he will want to see you, and he'll make it very clear. And he'll say, when do I get to see you again? At halfway through the first date.
Wow.
Definitely by the end, of course.
Wow, yeah. Do you think that when you go on that date, do you think it's how do you know, if that connection is there? Is it the first, because is it the first 5 minutes, is the first, or you just can't really tell?
Yeah, that's actually a really great question, because I feel like especially when we're relearning our meter, we're really rediscovering, because especially if you've been love bombed a lot, or you've been you're used to these lust, very, very intense feelings. In the very beginning stages of a relationship, you'll always look for those. And true love feels like home. It relaxes your nervous system. So if you're feeling a lot of anxiety and excitement, then you may need to slow it down a little bit to actually get to know the person. So I would say go on a date or two before you make a big decision. At least 2 dates, because the first dates, everyone's nervous.
Wow, that's good. That's good tips. I have to really say.
Great tips.
Yeah.
Good luck. We're trying to get you locked down in a month, right?
So there's a lot of things going on. We got a few minutes left, y'all. There's a lot of things going on. Monah and tell us about this great event that's about to come up in May.
Oh my gosh, so I am so excited. This is something that God gifted me when I was 5 years old. To do when I was 55 years old.
Wow.
Wow.
And so I will be 55 in May. Yes, I just told my age. And I have been so nervous in trying to do this for so long. But it's called A Marriage to Remember. And it's for those people who are dating, those people who are engaged, and those people who are married. And so we are having a conference during the daytime. And then at nighttime, we are having a gala. So you come to the conference, which will be at my church, Pentecostal Church of God in Christ, on 25 Mid 6th Street. And we start around 9 a.m. You come and you learn. We're going to have marriage coach. We're going to have speakers and lots of things to do. And we should be done by 2 o'clock, no later than 2 o'clock. You leave, go home, glam up, and meet us at La Foya Restaurant in Pawtucket. We're going to have dinner and dancing. We may have some live music going on and everything else. It's going to be so wonderful, and I'm looking forward to this. It's something I wanted to do for a long time. I mentioned it to my husband. He's like, let's do it. So, in a nutshell, the tickets are with tax, $135 with tax. You have to pay taxes, so.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
And you can, and you can go on, the email is marriage to remember @gmail.com. If you are interested, we can send you the flyer, or go on Eventbrite to get the information.
Oh, that's awesome. We will definitely stay in tune on that. It's on social media, I believe,
Yes,
correct?
it is. Yes, it is.
Absolutely. And tell us, Brittnay, what is Get Out LLC going to be doing next?
Yeah, so currently right now I have a membership community that is, my little baby. I love her so much because the core of what this is teaching women how to not only love themselves, but also put themselves out there after heartbreak and whatever, but in a feminine way, where you don't feel like you have to be so strong and always the responsible one, always the one who's taking the lead and making sure that everything's happening. You know, I feel like a lot of women, especially the women that I attract, carry a lot of that boss babe energy that kind of gets in the way of romantic relationships. So in this space, it is a lot of my classes, a lot of resources that I've accumulated over the years, and then I teach live classes monthly. So it's a beautiful community. And then I always do my relationship reset course or program. That's a 12-week intensive for women who are ready to really transform their love life from the inside out.
So how can folks get in touch with you if they want these services?
Yeah, BrittnayRoseGreen.com. Super simple.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
TTANY.
Well, I'd just like to thank everyone for being on this episode of Reflections TV. I thank my co-host, Diandra. Yes, Diandra Williams. I also like to thank my friends, Mona and John Rhodes. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom when it comes down to marriage. And also my new friend, relationship coach, Brittnay Green. We thank you so much for being on this episode. Thank you all for tuning in for Reflections TV. We will see you next month. Remember, love covers a multitude of faults. This is Pastor Shirley Hood, and you all have a blessed day.